Welcome to Monroe MustHangs. I'm your host, David Spiegel, and this is the first episode of a special series of episodes of Monroe MustHangs. The month of March is National Athletic Training Month, so I wanted to bring on all of our athletic trainers from the Monroe Mustangs and Monroe Express athletic departments and introduce them to you, for those of you who don't know them and for those of you who do know them a little bit. They've gone through a lot this past year dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic, and they already go through a lot having to, help our athletes when they're injured, keep them healthy, keep them in shape, keep them well conditioned. And there's a lot to appreciate about the athletic training staff here at Monroe College, the sports medicine department, which was created and headed by Jessica Rayford, who you can see in episode 8 of Monroe MustHangs if you want to go back in our archives. It has been, very, very good. Very good. In my last few years that I've been here at Monroe College, I've really come to appreciate everything the athletic trainers do. Injuries happen, and it's just part of every sport. It's unfortunate and it's inevitable. But the work that the athletic trainers do to get our athletes back on the field quickly, help them rehab, keep them healthy as best as they can, it's very admirable. It's a very tough job, and sometimes it's a very thankless job. So I wanted to make sure I was highlighting our athletic trainers this month, making sure that they get the appreciation they deserve. Of course, this episode is going to air on March 9th, which makes us 1 week away from the beginning of the spring season for the Monroe Mustangs. March 16th is going to be opening day for the softball team. They're going to open up at home in New Rochelle, while the baseball team is going to go on the road that day and open up as well. That's going to be at Mercer County Community College. And I know I, for one, am very excited for what's to come. It's been a very long time since we've had any home events, have any events at all at Monroe College, and it's nice to be back to normal a little bit. But of course, it's going to be the new normal. We can't, unfortunately, Region 15 has made its ruling, and following CDC guidelines, New York State guidelines, and recommendations from the NJCAA, we're not going to have fans at this time at any of our home games. Of course, it's going to be tough. I know, a lot of you are parents that want to see your athletes, our students, play at home, play on the road, and it's a tough thing to accept. But unfortunately, that's the reality of 2021, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure that this season goes smoothly so that things are back to normal in the fall or as early as we can make them normal. So my job is to cover these teams, make sure I'm providing the coverage for all of our teams. I'm going to be doing it for both the Monroe Mustangs and the Monroe Express. So trust me when I say I'm going to be doing everything I can in my power to make sure I'm covering our teams as best as possible, providing as much in-game coverage as I can, being in every place at once if I have to be. We're going to try to do as much live streaming, as many interviews, live stats as possible, and we're going to do our very best with it. I ask that you stay patient with us. We're going to be working very hard. Our game day operations team is going to be really stretching itself thin this season, but we want to do everything we can to provide the best experience for our student athletes, and then do what we can to give our audience a good show and make it seem as much as we can like you're there with us. So we're going to do everything we can to give everyone the best experience possible. I am, looking forward to all the hard work. It's been a very long time since we've gotten a chance to have game day, for me to post on social media that it is game day. We have games coming up, the final score when we win a game. It's going to be very exciting. So I know personally I am looking forward to that. I want to change up the format of the show a little bit now that we're actually going to have stuff to talk about, current events for Monroe College athletics. So I'm going to probably be starting shows like this where I throw in my own anecdotes a little bit, talk about what's going on, and then throw it over to the interview. But that's enough from me today. We'll talk more the next time around. If there are things you want to hear, you want to talk about, you want to see on Monroe MustHangs, of course, you can tweet at us at Monroe_Mustangs. You can comment on Instagram at Monroe MustHangs, reach out to us on Facebook, send an email. You can find us on our website, MonroeCollegeMustangs.com. Comment on the YouTube video, wherever you want to do. Reach out to us. We're happy to have feedback. I want to hear what you guys are saying. I want to hear what you like. I want to hear what you don't like. And let's do what we can to make this great as the seasons go along. So we're going to bring on our first athletic trainer for the month this time around. Of course, like I said, episode 8, Jessica Rayford. Go check it out. I'm going to try to have her back this month as well, again. But I bring on our associate head athletic trainer, Andrew Calo, for the Monroe Mustangs. He's been with Monroe for a number of years now. He is the head athletic trainer for the football team, which is no easy task. Of course, he has other roles in the department as well. And he's, one of the main reasons why we've been pretty successful so far dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic over the last couple of months. Our teams have been consistently practicing when allowed to, and teams have been on the field the last couple of weeks getting ready for the season. Like I said, March 16th for baseball and softball is the first day, and we're all very excited. And a lot of the reason why we got to this point is the diligent work of our athletic trainers. So Andrew's going to come on in a few minutes here. He's going to talk about where, what he's all about, where he came from, what he's been doing the last few months, helping us deal with all this, all the challenges the athletic trainers have gone through. And it's a very good listen. And I think he has a lot to say. He's got a lot of good information, very optimistic about our seasons going forward, as we all are. And I think it's going to be very exciting for you all to listen to. So without further ado, here's our interview with Andrew Calo. I'm here with Associate Head Athletic Trainer for the Monroe MustHangs, Andrew Calo. Andrew, thank you for taking the time today.
Hey, David. Thanks for having me on.
I'm glad we can have you, and we're going to be highlighting all the athletic trainers this month now. Of course, it's National Athletic Training Month, so it's a good time to show our appreciation for all of our athletic trainers and all the hard work you guys are doing, especially right now. Thank you for wearing your mask while in the office over there, just to show, part of what we're dealing with as we speak. Of course, I'm home by myself, so I'm good to go over here. But when I get back on campus myself, I'll be masking up. But Andrew, first I want to talk about, how did you find athletic training? What's your background, and how did you get into the field?
So I got into athletic training. Actually, I went to University of Connecticut, and I actually was an engineering degree, but I learned quickly that I did not like it. So I switched, and I kind of began searching, and I was interested in healthcare, and I was actually going down the road of physical therapy. And as I was learning physical therapy, you have to do observation hours. And I came across athletic trainers within the field of physical therapy. So as I was talking to them and kind of learning about them, it sounded like something I was a little more interested in, because I've always been involved in sports. I still am involved in sports. I'm an avid golfer. I play intramural volleyball. And all through high school, I was, always 3-sport athlete every single season. So when I learned that there are medical professionals within sports, I kind of sought that out, and I actually found LIU Brooklyn, and I applied, and I entered their master's program, and kind of the rest is history.
Now, from that point going forward, how did you find your way to Monroe College?
So Monroe College, actually, Jessica Rayford, our director of sports medicine, she taught one of my classes when I was in the master's program at LIU Brooklyn. And also at the time, the head football athletic trainer, Ashley Cody, who's no longer at Monroe, she taught another one of my classes. So I am originally from Westchester County. So I saw it as a good networking opportunity to try to come to Monroe while I was a student to do part of my hours. That's part of the curriculum that we have to learn under athletic trainers in the field. And I came to Monroe as a student athletic trainer. And so I was directly under Ashley Cody, the head football athletic trainer at the time. And I helped her with football, I helped her with track and field, and I helped with any and all needs that happened in the athletic training room while I spent my time at Monroe. And then when I finished my program, they hired me to work at the college. And then when Ashley Cody departed for another job, I became the head football athletic trainer at the school. And now, obviously, let's fast forward to a few years later, and I'm the associate head athletic trainer here at the college.
I remember when I first came on board the summer of 2017 that Ashley was the head football trainer, but very shortly into my time here was when she got another position and left. So you were quickly jumping up the ladder as I got here. So I remember very quickly you became the football trainer. And, of course, the last couple of years we've gone to those bowl games out in Iowa and in Kansas. So you and I were roommates on those trips, of course.
Yes, we were.
And obviously we've had some good experiences. But, in the last couple of years as a professional athletic trainer and in this world, what are some of the better experiences you've had?
Some of the better experience I have, I mean, every experience that when we have an injured athlete get hurt and we get them back to health and they get back on the field, nothing, is a better feeling than that, to kind of see all your hard work and dedication that you've put into the different injuries and the different athletes, and you get to kind of see their success. And, it makes you feel really good, because at the end of the day, you want to see all of them succeed and move on and do great things. And if you can be a part of that and kind of help mold that for them, it's kind of very rewarding. Some of the great experiences that I've had in the field, I mean, going to those bowl games, as you mentioned, those were great experiences. Getting to have all the kids experiencing it was great. Kind of seeing different parts of the country is also a great experience, because I definitely wouldn't travel to Hutchinson, Kansas, or out in Iowa, University of Northern Iowa, where we were for the bowl game. I definitely wouldn't have gone to those places, and it was kind of cool to see different athletic training rooms, how different schools operate, and kind of just gain knowledge and experience. And some things from those you take and you bring it back here, and you can kind of create and get better and bring more things into your skill set in order to become a better athletic trainer and further help the student body.
You've done a decent amount of traveling, I would say, especially with our football team. I know that you guys have had to get in those vans and get on the road for a number of hours at a time. So what's it been like trying to have to, having to grind and make those long drives there and back, sometimes in the same day, 6, 7, 8 hours?
It's definitely tough. A lot of times we have a lot of equipment, so we tend to travel separate from the team. So usually it's myself and the equipment manager. We kind of, and any support staff that we may have, we're kind of driving ourselves down in the van. Sometimes, could be 10 hours, could be 2 hours, could be 30 minutes, but we're always hitting the road, going for long as we possibly can, and then switch drivers, and then hope for the best. But at the end of the day, ultimately everything we do is for the kids, and we try to make sure that they're as prepared as they can be, because they're worrying about trying to do well in the game and win, and we're just there to try to help make sure that they stay on the field and they ultimately reach their goals.
And of course, as we talk about taking care of the students here at Monroe and all the other teams that we compete against as well, we're now in March 2021, which means that we're coming up on the 1-year mark of when everything stopped because of the COVID-19 pandemic last year. And you and all of our other athletic trainers, obviously being the medical professionals that we rely on every day, this has definitely been a challenge for all of you, something that, you're not necessarily trained to do. Of course, everyone's kind of just learning on the fly here, I would say. But, in the past number of months, we've gotten back to work. We've had a lot of teams since August, September that have been practicing. We are just a few days away, from when this episode is going to air, or a few days away from our spring season beginning with baseball and softball and men's soccer and track and field. So things are going to be a lot different than they have been in the past. So what are some of the challenges that you and our entire sports medicine staff has dealt with over the last number of months trying to get prepared to get to this point?
Well, obviously COVID has been such a difficult challenge all in itself. All the changing guidelines, all the changing medical directives that have come out, and kind of just adapting to what it is and adjusting. But probably one of the biggest things and challenges that we've experienced is having to say no sometimes to student athletes, because as you are aware, this place can get very crazy, and we can have up to 15 to 20 kids in the room at one time, and now that's just not okay. That's not possible based on what's going on in the world. So we've really had to scale back our operation, and kind of we're appointment only now. So students have to sign up using Calendly, and they have to come at their scheduled time. And there have been times where I've either had to turn somebody away because they didn't make an appointment and they didn't have an emergent need where they couldn't be seen at that moment, or they come at a time that isn't their time and I ask them to come back at their time. So we were very used to kind of, service first industry, where if you come in, we're going to help you right off the bat. But unfortunately with COVID and the changing policies and having to have almost 50% of the student capacity that we have in here, it's been really difficult to be the bad guy all the time and kind of say, I'm sorry, but we can't do that right now. Could you make an appointment and we could come back and we could do that, for both of us. So that's honestly, for me, that's been a big challenge because I don't want to turn anybody away, and that's not the point. But we just have to make sure that we're following the guidelines that are laid forth by the state, the county, the school, and we just got to make sure that we're doing the right thing to keep ourselves safe as well as keep the students safe, because their health and safety is our main goal at the end of the day.
I think it's definitely worth pointing out that, while I'm lucky enough that a lot of my role can be done from home as I'm doing right now, again, that changes in a couple of weeks when we are actually playing at home, and I'm excited for this, but you have to work face to face with students and other athletic trainers and coaches every single day. So it's something that we certainly cannot take for granted. You're really putting yourself in the line of fire. And I know I speak for a lot of us when we say we appreciate that everything you guys are doing with all this. Like I said, we're a couple days away from our game. So what are some things you expect to look different this coming season than what we're used to?
First and foremost, mask wearing. Obviously, a lot of students are going to have to be wearing their masks when they're in dugouts, when they're outside of competition. Some different sports allow for mask wearing, some don't. So every sport is different. There's not going to be fans as of this moment. Next week it could change, next month it could change. But at this moment in time, we're not going to be allowed to have fans, which is going to be very different. We can't have students that are on campus here to come to the games and support their fellow athletes. It can only be people that are supposed to be working the game, so that's going to be very different. Also having to screen athletes prior to games and practices, and kind of doing COVID tracing, almost like contact tracing during the year without any positives yet. That's something else that's very different, where we're kind of tracking where students go on campus with various check-ins in order to, if the event that we do have a positive case, we kind of already know where they've all been going. And so we have that for games, we have that for practices, we have that just for classes. Every team is kind of making sure that every student is, either where they need to be, and making sure that they're checking in and we're able to follow it if in the event that we need to. So those are a lot of big changes that are happening, and staying 6 feet away from each other when you can is also a big challenge, because we're all used to kind of being closer. You don't really realize you're in someone's space. 6 feet is a little bit closer than you may think, but it's tough to kind of gauge it, and everyone has their own comfort levels and everyone has their own feelings about COVID, so it's kind of hard to kind of find that nice balance between everything.
I know over the past calendar year, at least for myself, I've gotten very used to kind of keeping myself away from other people when I'm in public and staying home a lot more often than I would like to be, of course. But we haven't experienced what game day is like for any of us, so it's hard to kind of fall back into those old rhythms, I think, and it's something that we're gonna have to be very conscious about. I know I've been doing all my planning for how I could be distanced from everybody during games, when there's so much of it is having to go talk to people and having to interact with different people. How are we going to do that? So I know your staff has been very diligent. The college has been very diligent about what kind of protocols are going to be in place. And I know we're going to do a really good job. Again, we're lucky we're outdoors, so it's a little bit easier to space out and deal with this, and, hope that we're not getting too close to spread anything. But, like you said, we've done a good job so far, and I want to make sure that there's a lot of credit given to you, all of our other athletic trainers, and the other medical personnel that we deal with over at Montefiore Hospital and everywhere else. Obviously doing a really good job so far. Again, we've been somewhat consistently practicing since beginning of September, I believe. So haven't had too many hiccups along the way. Of course, every schedule right now is subject to change. That's just part of the spring season always, whenever there's snow and rain. But now, obviously, any day of the week, there might be a reason to, be precautious and cancel a game, whether it's us or an opposing team. So a lot of factors we're going to be dealing with. I know I'm excited for a little bit more of the normalcy. I'm sure you are as well. Obviously, again, you've been preparing so long for this. So Is there any final message you want to send to our audience, our students, about what we're going to be doing in the next couple of weeks?
Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep wearing your masks. Keep washing your hands. Keep using hand sanitizer, because I feel like we're on the horizon. More normalcy is coming. I think we're not out of the woods, but we're almost there, and we really shouldn't take a break from making sure that us, our families, and everyone stays as healthy and safe as they possibly can during in the middle of a global pandemic.
And I definitely want to stress that we want this season to go as well as possible, so that way the next season can go off without a hitch as well. So, again, we can stress it as often as we need to, that we got to keep wearing our masks, keeping our distance, washing our hands, and everything else that you've heard for the last year and change about how to protect ourselves. So, Andrew, thank you again for joining me today. Again, just expressing appreciation on my behalf and on behalf of the student athletes and the administration during National Athletic Trainers Month, but also throughout the year. I'm sure you guys get plenty of thank yous, but it can't be said enough, what you guys do for our student athletes, and our coaches and staff too. I've been in the office as well for a few different questions in my couple of years here. So thank you again. I appreciate your time. I appreciate what you guys are doing. And everyone at home, make sure you thank our athletic trainers when you can. Hit us up on our social media pages, Instagram, Twitter, whatever. If you want to send a message to our trainers, we'll pass it along. But Andrew, thanks again. And for everyone listening, thanks for hanging with us this time, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me, David. And, it's my pleasure to help the Monroe student body, as well as any staff coach that needs our help. It's always a pleasure.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Monroe MustHangs is sponsored by the Monroe Mustang Sideline Store, powered by our apparel partners at BSN Sports. Whether you're looking for t-shirts, hats, jackets, or accessories, the Monroe Mustang Sideline Store has it all. Gear up with the new Monroe Mustangs logo and make it your own with hundreds of customizable options, including sports-specific designs. For the month of March, you can take 20% off all orders of $80 or more using the promo code MARCH21. That's MARCH21. Visit MonroeCollegeMustangs.com/shop to look your best as you cheer on the Mustangs.